Hello, and welcome again to Talking Baseball with Leon Lee. Today is December 30th, 2020, and my name is Steve. I'm here again with Ryan, and of course with Leon. And Leon, again today we have a special guest.
Well, it's an extremely special guest, Steve. And as we continue doing these baseball podcasts, me personally, I don't really care how many people listen, but I do care that one of my best friends in life is on with me, and we could share these thoughts and ideas talking about baseball. And we have with us again tonight Ricky Jordan, and Ricky and myself graduated from the same high school. He played a long time in the major leagues. He's really stayed extremely humble and connected to the community and his friends and family. And we're just honored to have you here, Ricky.
Leon, I appreciate you having me back again tonight. I want to say hi to Steve and Ryan. Thanks for having me on, and enjoyed the last podcast we had, and I'm looking forward to doing many more with you guys because I love talking baseball.
Oh, you better watch what you say, Ricky, because I was going to give you an out every now and then that you can take a breather. But if you make yourself open, I may be reaching out for you.
I'm good. I come in and out with you guys at it all the time.
There you go. You're always welcome.
It's good to see you again, Ricky. And I think tonight, Leon, we wanted to talk about something that probably doesn't get talked about a whole lot, especially at the youth level, is all the little things that a ball player can do to help his team and through all the levels of baseball and maybe getting some rewards for those little things.
Yes, and I think it's really important to have conversations because these days the conversation always leads toward the analytics and the sabermetrics, and the coaches are feeling like with travel ball, they feel that they have to put all the emphasis on winning. And I think where the kids are suffering and where they're missing out on is they're missing on learning the little things that don't always show up in the box score. And I think this is a great format to sit down and have this conversation. It's not like it's a new conversation, but it's important to keep repeating it because kids aren't learning those little things about, like backing up bases, how to take the extra base without the coach telling them what to do. Catchers learning how to back up throws at first base, how to read a ball off a bat and to get an extra couple of steps and maybe score on an infield ground ball. A lot of little things that they could see themselves that they aren't learning. Wouldn't you say, Ricky?
Oh, definitely. I agree. I think in today's baseball with kids and stuff, they're out there just to win. They're not teaching the fundamentals of taking the extra base, learning how to get guys over in certain situations. There's a lot of little fundamental things you can do in that game that can help you win a ball game, but you also need to not just think about winning all the time. That's what they do in travel ball. I think everything's about winning. They'll throw the same kid 2 days in a row to try to win a tournament. You should be teaching these kids how to play the game the right way. That way, if they do somehow get drafted in the pro ball, they can learn a little more, at the minor league level. I think it hurts at the minor league level too, that they don't teach it the right way now too, at the minor league level.
And I know, and Ryan, I wanted to get your opinion on this because you having been a student of Leon for so long, what are some of the little things that you remember Leon talking to you about maybe in the batting cages?
I know one of the biggest things for me was obviously I shouldn't think too much. Shouldn't analyze it too much. I'm doing that now, just getting into golf. So it's coming, all the memories are coming back. But yeah, he wasn't focused on, Ryan, you got to do this. Ryan, you got to do that. He was, he wanted to teach me the right way to go ahead and do things so I could succeed and I could win, as opposed to just saying you got to win.
Yeah. And, one of the things, and the one thing, Ricky, you can relate to this, and I've talked to Steve and Rhino about it sometimes, and I have these little thoughts. And I said, you look at a baseball field, for example. I said, even as pretty as a baseball field could be, nobody's going to go into the stadium as a fan or even pay to go into the stadium to look at an empty field, right? That field's just going to sit there empty if there's nobody out there. Now, some old guys like myself in street clothes went out to that baseball field and start running around. There's not one person would pay money to come in there and watch me play. But boy, once you put that uniform on, people will pay money to come see people in those uniforms, right? And so even if you looked at a kid and say, when you get on that baseball field, you have to feel like you're Superman, because once you put that uniform on, you're not actually playing the game, you become the game. And the coaches are trying to dictate and tell kids all these little things they need to do. They're not allowing them to really appreciate the fact that, number one, I'm in a uniform. I'm Superman. Number two, the people didn't come here to see you, coach. The people came here to see me, because they're not here because to see you. I'm on the field. I am the game. So we have to give them permission to see the field, to try things, to make mistakes. You know, as a fan, I want to see the mistakes as well as I want to see the great plays. It's all part of the game, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that reminds me, Leon, another example. I think I was I was in fifth grade. So, I was still on the small ball field, and we got to the TOCs, the Tournament of Champions. And the coach never really took the time to go ahead and see my bad habits or try to correct them. And when we finally got to that first game in the TOCs, he was like, "Hey, Ryan, if you don't perform, you're not playing." And it's just like, well, then what am I supposed to do at that point? It doesn't, that doesn't encourage me. It's
Exactly.
Either way, I guess I'll still get a trophy, right?
Yeah.
But you're still going to get one.
Yeah, you're gonna. He put more pressure on you, Ryan. That's what he did. You know what I mean? He didn't prepare you for
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, especially as a little guy, it was just like, it's not encouraging.
Yeah.
Well, you simply can't play this game looking over your shoulder.
No.
You can't play the game under threat. When I was playing in Japan, I'm having a great year, but I went into a slump like we do, huh, Ricky?
Of course, yeah. It's gonna happen.
You're not going to hit all the time. I struggle a little bit. The pitchers are working hard to get me out. I'm one of the better hitters in the lineup. So I went a couple of games without getting a hit. But don't bother me. I'm a pro. I'm going to figure it out. But our manager came up. He called himself going to use this what they call negative motivation, which I don't believe in negative motivation. Negative is negative, period.
Right.
And so he had my interpreter come up to me in the batting cage and says, the manager said, if you don't start hitting, he's going to pull you out of the lineup. So I walked right out of the batting cage. And I told our interpreter, I said, well, go tell him to take me out of the game right now. Because if I have to look over my shoulder and worried about whether or not I get a hit or not, if I'm going to play, that's the pressure that's going to cause me to really struggle. And so I said, just take me out right now. I went in the dugout and I went in the clubhouse and I sit in there until my interpreter, I knew he was going to do it. He come in and go, well, he was just trying to motivate you. He didn't mean he was going to take you out. Well, then he should not have said that.
Yeah.
So he got a message. He said, I didn't realize sometimes the Japanese players, that'll work. I said, I'm not Japanese. It don't work. I need to be encouraged.
True.
Come tell me, no matter how you struggle, Leon, you're not coming out of that lineup because, you're valuable in the lineup. Just tell me, give me that encouragement that I don't have to look over my shoulder, right?
Right.
So that's how we should do with our kids. Encourage them. You're going to get out there and play. If you make a mistake, you're going to make one.
Yeah, because you're definitely going to make them in this game.
Absolutely.
Game of failure, you're going to fail, and you can't be afraid to fail. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And when you do fail, you got to be allowed to make it up. You know what I mean? Not thinking, oh man, if I fail, I'm out of here. They're going to take me
That's
out.
right.
Opportunity to come back. Because you could go 3 at bats in that game, strike out all 3, and then here comes the last at bat, and you do something good to win the game.
Exactly.
So you got to be allowed that opportunity to stay out and play.
And I think when kids learn that, they start doing those little things that we talk about. They start exploring because they're not afraid. They're not looking over their shoulder. They'll be amazed. I didn't even realize. You remember that play Derek Jeter made in that cutoff play in the
yeah the little flip.
That little flip, yeah. Did you see that,
Yeah.
Rhino and Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Jeremy Jambi, right?
No, yeah, but where is that written up in the rules that you make that the shortstop's job is to do that?
That was just intuition.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Intuition. Kids aren't having the intuition will lead you to track that, follow the ball. Where's that ball going? They start naturally. Sometimes you're in a part of the field and you look up and you don't even realize you're there because you're following the ball and your instincts are telling you to follow the ball instead of you sitting there going like, okay, how does the play drawn up? Where am I supposed to be? I need to memorize this play. I need to memorize this play. You don't need to memorize anything. You just need to follow the ball and you'll end up most of the time in the right spot.
Yeah.
So,
No, yeah, you're right.
so yeah, I was going to ask in regards to that, both Leon and Ricky, a lot of these little things can be kind of grouped together maybe in that in baseball's sixth tool, sometimes it's called the baseball intellect or intuition. But how would you guys, being in the positions that you have been in, how would you go about teaching the youth or talking to the parents about those small things and that baseball intellect?
Go ahead, Ricky.
Well, first of all, I would start, out there with them, just talking about the game a little bit at the start, just getting the fundamentals down, talking to them about them. Then I drill it in because I know when we used to go to spring training, we didn't even go out on the field to hit and do anything. We go in the backfield and they do all these drills with bunt plays and
Yeah.
You'd be like, man, I want to go hit. I want to go do this. But they drill it in. And I know in today's game, jumping ahead as far as a major leaguer, you'll see them on certain plays. They're just standing around.
That's right.
Always could be moving somewhere to back up something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you'll see a outfielder just standing in his spot. Next thing you know, the ball gets by somebody and they end up scoring a run or something like that. So I just think that it needs to be taught from a young age, once they get to that age. I mean, the little leaguers is kind of tough because you want them to have fun. But when they get to that age, that junior high and that high school age, you want to teach the whole game. Every position needs to know where they can be and what they should be doing, and what's part of the game.
I agree. And I think, when you're talking with kids, especially, what I like to do is individualize. I like to make a point to say, the old saying, the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And I like to say each one of you kids are individual. How many times have you been with your kids, Ricky, and say, anybody got a question? Right. And nobody say a word.
Nobody say nothing.
The kids are scared to death to open up and express themselves because they think their question might be a stupid question and their friends might make fun of them.
True.
But when we were growing up, we played so much pickup ball, we didn't have coaches out there. And I think there's a difference because we used to coach ourselves.
Right.
So the one thing I like to relay to kids, and Rhino probably remember, I use this term, even at a young age, is start learning how to become your own best coach.
Yes.
Start learning how to listen to your own thoughts because they're not wrong. There's no such thing as wrong, I think, in baseball. They're just consequences. If you make decisions at a young age where kids shouldn't be getting punished for making any kind of mistake, coaches are, but let them learn from that. Now, what did you learn from that, son? What you ran, you hit a ball to center field and you tried to get to third and you got thrown out. But there's a reason you got, so right. Learn how to do things and then say, okay, I'm not worried about the consequences. I'm worried about learning what did I do so I can get better. And so that's why I like to encourage kids at young ages, 8, 9, 10, they just have to go out there and just balls flying everywhere, hit pop-ups, hit ground balls. Okay, right field, that ball was over here, then that runner was over here. Maybe you could have, that throw went over there and where were you standing at, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I should have been doing something. I always say do something, even if it's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody starts moving around and everybody's moving. What am I doing over here? But, after a while, they keep moving. They go, okay, next time I'm going to be over there.
Right.
but see, the coaches are keep telling them, oh, you have to be here, you have to be here, you have to be here. And now they got all these shifts going on everywhere. Nobody knows where they're supposed to be playing.
Yeah, true.
You know, so I just like the kids to go out early in their learning age and just run everywhere. We used to play, if you had 5 men on the team, you had a lot of territory to cover, right?
Yeah,
But kids think their little cubby hole, please don't hit the ball to me so the coach don't get mad.
yeah,
You know, instead of, shoot, if he hit the ball to center field, I'm gonna run out there and try to catch it.
yeah.
And that's how, the term robots, gets created.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so that's the thing with, having a topic like this is you have to give the kids the freedom to make baseball like a gamified activity. Until they get, I don't know what the age, you could tell me the age, maybe 13 or 14, 15, to take the emphasis out of winning. You're not getting paid to win until you get to the pro level, but you start learning how to win after you've learned a lot about what your ability level is, what the game is all about, what the other team is trying to do, what the pitcher's trying to do in them in the batter's box. Figure out how pitchers think. Kids aren't learning any of that.
Or learning, you can always learn how to compete. That's different than winning, right?
Yeah, that's a key word.
Yeah, and if you don't have fun initially when you start out, you're never really going to learn how to compete, in my opinion.
Well, in travel ball now they run scores up, right, Ricky? Because you got to get your seeding for Sunday.
Right, that's it.
In our day, if I ran up a score on Ricky gonna knock my brain out.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't care how nice Ricky is. If I try to intimidate Ricky on the ball field, he gonna knock my block off, and I know it's coming.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And I think Ryan, hit on kind of the combination there is, having fun while learning how to compete. Winning kind of comes out as a byproduct of doing a lot of those little things correctly. But what I heard both of you guys say there is that you're going to teach a lot of these little things. A lot of times it's just by talking the game of baseball with these kids, having conversations with them and asking them questions, right?
Yeah. But also, can't any coach go tell Ricky to hit like me? I can't tell Rhino to hit like Ricky. Ricky like his eggs well done. Rhino like his eggs raw. Yeah. They look at things differently. We look at the same tree. We see that same tree a little different. So you got to coach that kid different. And that's not what they're doing now. They want everybody to, like you said, Rhino, be a robot. Everybody's doing the same thing.
I agree. Just like Ryan said, robot. Yeah, I know some of the coaches in college over here. I'm not going to say Sac City. I remember they had all these kids over here and they all wanted them to hit the same way. I'm like, man, all these kids are different. They can't hit like that. And they're yelling at them, taking them out of the game, not letting them play because they can't hit. I'm like, that's not the way he hits. You can't be a robot. Everybody's different. You got to give them the opportunity to go out there and showcase their own individual skills. You know what I mean?
Absolutely right.
It makes makes you relax a lot more when you don't have somebody barking at you trying to tell you how to hit a different way, because that hitting is not easy anyway. It's hard enough.
Hardest thing in the world to do. You're absolutely right. Hitting a ball. Think about it. Would you want your doctor to be 30% right? Hitting, you could be 30% and make 10 million a year.
That's it. You're a great hitter, Felon. 3 out of 10.
That's right. 30%.
So I know, Leon, you were talking about, in encouraging a lot of the youth at a lot of different levels, basically, that encouragement in our baseball culture. But then there's the extreme of that, of the culture that I think Ryan touched on this, where everybody gets a trophy for just basically participating. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I know myself, when we were being raised, you went to tryouts for Little League, everything. And you took a lot of pride in the fact that you made a team. You made that team. And it's like, even if you're a pitcher, you made the starting rotation. Being a reliever was kind of a demotion type thing. At least I made the team, but doggone it, I wanted to be a starter. But now you got designated relievers. You got kids getting participation trophies where they really didn't. They're if you pay, you play. So you make a team. And then you get the parents saying, oh, my son is just as good as that kid over there. He should be playing. Well, they get playing time. There's rules that you have to play everybody. There's rules that this has to happen. And if you win the championship, not even the championship, if you played in the league, everybody gets a reward for it, a trophy. And there's that trophy sitting on the, in my house, all the trophies and plaques that I got, I feel good about them because I earned them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some performance behind those trophies, not just being on the team.
Yeah.
And so what are we teaching the kids, Ricky? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I agree, Leon. I mean, when we grew up, I mean, you went out and you battled each other to earn that spot. You know what I mean? Now, today, they let them go out there because they have to. You know what I mean? They just give it to them. Some kid, the parents might go to dinner together every night or every week. You know what I mean? And he feels obligated to let them play. When they probably shouldn't even be out there in reality. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I like the competition thing. You got to compete. I mean, you'll see it in high school too these days where they don't even let the kids compete. They'll just put somebody out there because they know them or something, you know what I mean? And they can do bad all they want to and still stay out there,
That's right.
I just like the competition. I mean, I think it's all part of actually growing up and being a better person for yourself individually too, and be competing.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so
without a doubt.
And unfortunately, it happens in a lot of sports, and basically everyone. I used to love running track and doing cross country. Fortunately, not unfortunately, I did pick baseball because I love it better. But anyway, during the same time, I couldn't play both sports. But we would get a participation ribbon if you didn't place, 1 through 10th place, and I hated that. So, I challenged myself, and the next time that happened, I got 3rd, and that's something I hang on my shelf now.
That's right.
As opposed to that participation one.
That's it. Yeah. Motivation yourself to get out and do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Larry Boa got cut.
Yeah.
He got cut, I think, every year in high school.
Right.
He didn't play regular until he got into junior college, but he didn't quit.
Right.
And so how do you preach to kids nowadays? It's not a matter how many times you get knocked down, just get back up. The kids going, why I got to get back up? Somebody's going to pick me up.
Right. Yeah.
I had a kid, he broke a wood bat and I was trying to show him how to, that's not broke real bad. I was telling Ricky, I said, all you do is put a little tiny nail in there and put a little tape on it, be good as new. He said, why should I do that? My dad will buy me another bat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, you're not really appreciating the value of this bat. There's a lot of value. This bat, for me, when I'm growing up, this bat is going to get me where I need to go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to protect this bat. I'm not waiting for my dad to buy me another one. I'm protecting the one I got.
Yeah, that's the thing you always emphasized. I remember, when I first met you, I'd come in with my metal bat,
Yeah.
You made me realize falling in love with a wooden bat because you take care of it more.
You
take care of it. You got to buy a new one.
You ain't kidding.
And
how many times you go to the batting cage and the little lost and found bucket is full of gloves? And when me and Ricky growing up, the thought of getting the glove was a big time,
Yeah.
You go home without that glove.
You better take care of it. You better take care of the gloves, them shoes, and everything. You ain't getting no more of them.
Oh my God. The thought of not having that glove with me was that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
We all had jobs outside of baseball, and I know, Ricky, you're speaking to us from your office even this evening, and in the real world, in the job world, not everyone gets a trophy, and you got to compete to get a job, to keep a job, to perform at the job, and there's definitely not a participation award in the real world. So
no,
it's kind of dangerous, I think, to have that culture for youth sports.
I agree. I mean, I think like you're saying, Steve, even in the real world, I mean, once you get out there, it's tough. You got to be able to, you got to have some knowledge and a little bit of determination to get after it, in the real world too. I mean, not just things handed to you. I mean, you have to fight and battle. I mean, what we do here in construction, we bid against all different companies, and we have to, beat them out and stuff to earn these jobs to get the funds to come in here and pay for the people that we hire and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's a battle. You always got to be out there after it. You know what I mean?
That's right. But it's another thing too. It's like when you think about, look, how many years did you play pro ball, Ricky?
Overall, about 15, counting minor leagues in the major.
Counting everything, pro, just pro, not amateur, but just pro ball. You played what, 15 years?
Yeah.
I played 17 years. And you got to tell kids, you got this dream of being a pro baseball player, but then you got to think, what else you
right
gonna do? Because when you get out of baseball, you got time enough for a whole nother 1 or 2 careers.
Yeah, true.
And so when kids are, like Steve said, when they're learning how to compete, when they're learning on that baseball fields, the skills how to be, I always say, you got to learn how to be president, CEO of your own department. So if you third base, you got to learn everything there possibly is about third base. And then you need to learn everything there is about every other position on the field in case you end up having to play there. And by learning all those details in every aspect, I mean, how many variables are things that can happen in a ball game? I mean, this is a crazy game that every night you go to a game, you see something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
But as a kid, as being a student of the game and learning, they're actually, in a way, they're preparing themselves for life after baseball, because everybody's going to fall off sooner or later. Little league, high school, college, minor leagues, and very, very few get a chance to play 15 years in the big leagues, even 1 year in the big leagues.
Right.
But what are you going to do after baseball? So some kids, they think everything is about baseball, but they're having the coach tell them everything what to do. And I was telling some kids once before, I said, there's a book written by Malcolm Gladwell called The Outliers. And he talked about the 10,000 hour rule, that you're never going to get really good at something unless you practice it or do it for at least 10,000 hours. And I said, in today's game, the problem with that is the coach is taking all your hours.
Yeah.
The coach is utilizing all your hours because you're not allowed to do anything other than what the coach tells you to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So therefore, if you're not learning this in the game, if you're not allowing yourself to learn something in this game, you're not going to college. If even in playing minor league ball, you're not going to college. So you have to be doing something to prepare yourself for that next career.
Right.
And part of that is saying, no matter what, I don't have baseball now, but now I'm going out and get my degree and doing this, or I'm going to become an architect, or I got a job working in this. I'm going to get a job working in this. Look what you're doing. You got all kind of people working for you right now, Ricky.
Yeah.
Running your own company, life after baseball. Whereas I've seen a lot of guys, if they don't have baseball, they have nothing. They have never learned to think for themselves.
True.
That's the message. I think one of the things you got to start teaching kids at an early age.
Yeah, because only a tiny percentage of it is going to make it in any of the sports. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Sports, a certain amount going to make it in, and the rest of them is going to have to end up doing something else. You know what I mean? And there's a lot out there you can do. I always tell those kids, hey, if you don't make it, there's other things you can do out there. Just be the best you can, get something else. You know what I mean? Get out there, do it, give up and quit. Don't quit because you didn't make it to this or that. You know what I mean? But there's opportunity out there if you want to get out there and get after it.
Without a doubt. And that's why it's so important to learn those little things. Be responsible. Ball laying on the ground, pick it up. You're on the ball field and here's, you got that take charge mentality. You see an outfielder that'll go, look, young kids, a ball hit to the outfield. The first thing they look is the other outfielder.
Yeah.
Instead of going, I see that ball, I'm going to get it.
Get it. Yeah. Yeah.
You see those little things like that. They're looking for somebody else to get it done rather than them to go it done. You could pick those little bitty things up with kids and have a conversation with them. Anything hit to that outfield, you take charge and go get it. You know, if you see somebody that's struggling a little bit, go over there and pat them on the back. You know, because you need that teammate. Those are little things that we're talking about. You go over there and say, pat them on the back. Kid's a little nervous.
Yeah.
That other little kid say, go over there and sometimes it just take a little pat on the back. That don't show up in the newspaper or the box score. But that kid get a hit and he'll come back and say, oh, thank you so much. That just helped me out just that little bit.
Right.
You know, those little things that, you know, ground ball, you know, that you come up with the ground ball and you throw it to first and you know the guy's going to be safe, but there's a runner running to third. Now you see a little shortstop one time. He faked that throw to first and turn around. That runner was running around third base. He fired that ball over to third. And I say, now see, that's I love seeing that, you know, just, and even if he hadn't got the guy out, at least he was thinking
about the game, thinking forward. Yeah.
Exactly. Now the coach just said, why didn't you throw the ball to first base? You know, you might have had him, but the kid had his own thought. And it may not have worked, but see, for him to be able to think on himself like that, and if he'd have got the guy out, you know, those things ain't gonna show up and it might, what do they call it? A 6 something out, put out or something.
Yeah.
But it don't really show up.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that you want to teach kids. Have the freedom to understand, see where that runner is, see where this outfielder is, you know, you see the right fielder playing over here and the ball's hit over here, go to third.
Yeah.
You don't need a base coach to tell you.
Yeah, definitely. And like we talked a little earlier, me and Steve, when we were saying about the outfielders throwing to the right bases to keep double plays intact and all that stuff. And then,
exactly.
And first and second, they can't even bunt over now in the major leagues. You got a Kershaw, a Bueller, a Cole, or somebody on the mound. You need to bunt that. You need that one run. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna get him many runs with those dudes throwing on the mound. So if you get a chance to sacrifice, you need to be able to get them over there and get those guys in. That's how you're gonna win the baseball game.
Without a doubt. I think everybody on the ball field should know how to bunt.
Yeah.
Everybody, even your power hitter, should know how to bunt, because learning how to handle the bat makes you a better hitter anyway.
Correct.
But any given situation, when do you see them try to bunt in the big leagues now, in the World Series, and they ain't bunted all year?
Yeah.
They haven't bunted once all year, but now they want them to bunt in the World Series.
Yeah. And they pop it up, or
you know, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pop it up right through it or whatever. What kills me is that leadoff double, and the guy they never get him in. You get a strikeout, another strikeout.
That's right.
Fly ball, now you're out of the inning. I'm like, man, if you'd have got him over, that fly ball would have did the trick. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I don't know.
You want to teach it.
It's tough right now.
Oh, go ahead.
It's tough watching at the big league level some of the things they do. You know what I mean? It's just not taught.
It's really hard to watch.
Baseball is not taught. I know they understand. They want the home run. Go up there and swing for it. You know, we got 3 swings to get them in or whatever, but let's do it. But you end up getting nothing out of it, you know?
Yeah. Tommy Davis one year drove in, 100 and here's a Dodger. There's a Dodger.
Yeah.
He drove in 150 runs, I think, that one year. But he said the reason he did, he got a whole lot of sac flies and infield ground balls when the infield was back and the runner on third.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. If they were giving him the RBI, he would take it. You know?
Done, yeah.
I saw a fun fact the other day. So Joey Gallo with the Texas Rangers.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I know Joey.
He has 121 singles and then 120 home runs.
Yep.
Wow.
You know,
and how many strikeouts in between?
Exactly. You know, it's just like it's kind of baffling. You know, it's getting on base.
I think one of the harder plays to watch at the major league level right now that is really frustrating for me is the rundowns. The most messed up play in baseball right now. Man. Nobody knows how to do a rundown. No. How many throws and do they do? Everybody's got to come into the play to get a guy out. It's like, exactly. How does all nine of them come into play to get a guy out in the rundown? Yep.
eight, 9-year-olds should know how to do an effective one throw rundown or two throws. You know, it should be, a good rundown should, well, sometimes the guy's already that way. So you got to get the ball ahead of him and then running back.
Right.
And it should be getting them running, one throw, one tag out of the rundown.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, even first and third, they go, oh, these are tough situations. But if you do it the first part of the rundown effectively, you don't give the other runner time to get to the other bag.
Right.
You know, and the rundowns, miss cutoffs. You read the balls that are pitcher throw a ball in the dirt with a runner at first. The ball hit out in front of the plate, jump up, hit the catcher on the chest protector, bounce 10 feet out front, and the runner's still standing on first base.
Yeah. Yep.
That kills me.
Little things, you know. Yeah.
Well,
And you know, we could talk, but see, the thing about a rundown should be learned when kids are 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
Kids should know how to slide when they're 8, 9 years old. Kids should have an idea of, if you should be able to talk to a 10, 11-year-old of situational baseball and him have been able to give you an answer. A 10-year-old should be able to bunt.
mhm.
By the time they get to the big leagues, they should be expert bunters, you know? And part of that is these guys, even in the big leagues, the guys throwing 95-mile-an-hour fastball, chest high, and they're reaching up trying to bunt it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And jabbing at the ball. And you know, from day one, there's a basic way. I remember we were in Florida doing a camp, and Maury Wills was there. One of those Dream Series camps. And Maury had everybody stand around. They had a machine throwing really fast. And Maury was sitting there holding the bat, I'll put it. And he's busy talking, and they put a ball in the machine. They threw a machine. He killed it about 3 feet in front of the plate.
Wow.
And he says, guys, this is not hard for me to do. I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. By the time I got to the big leagues, it was second nature, because for me, with my speed, it's a way for me not only to move a runner, but it's another way for me to get on base. It's another way for the infielders to come in, because now I can hit a ball past them.
Yeah. Putting that
He said
pressure.
the bunt worked. The bunt made a whole career for me, because, and then this is what got me. And it really wasn't the bunt. It was the threat of the bunt,
Yeah.
because everybody on the field knew I would bunt.
Yeah.
So that's what they had. The guys are cheating in. I got another 100 hits, so many hits in my career, just simply because I got the ball past somebody because they were playing in and not back. So if every team had these guys with these shifts on there, a couple of bunts would take them out of that shift. You know?
Yeah, I was always taught to just catch the ball with the bat.
There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
Catch the ball with the bat. And I learned, even I don't remember old Joe Ducky Medwick. Joe Medwick is a Hall of Famer. He was like a little limpy batting coach when I was a rookie with the Cardinals. But here's a guy that, you know, Joe Medwick hit 360, 50 something doubles. And he said, the reason I hit more doubles because I bunted a lot. And he teach you how to handle the bat, handle the bat. You can get the bat here, get the bat there, move the ball around, let your hands do the work. And here's guys that were from the old time, and I think Ducky Medwick, his most strikeouts he had in the season was like 25. Because the strikeout was something, he said, what's the use of going to the plate? For me, I'm a runner, I'm a baseball player. What good is a strikeout?
Yeah.
Nothing happens on the field if you're striking out all the time.
True.
Well, guys, I hate to do this to us, but we are running up on our planned time here. So, and I know we wanted to fit in the trivia question from Ryan for the evening. Ryan,
All right.
Yeah, I got one other thing. So I know we're zooming right now. We're also recording, but you saw me move my head around. We were talking about, wooden bats and taking care of old things and, old gloves.
Yeah.
You guys can see this guy. It's one of those
Oh
old
my
classics.
God.
Yeah, if I could turn on the light a little bit more, but yeah, it
That's one
doesn't
of
even
the
have a
old-
pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's fun stuff. Anyway,
Hey, you know, when they used those gloves and back in the day, a lot of balls would go through those fingers on the glove and it was still considered a base hit.
yeah.
So therefore you got more of those guys hitting 400.
Exactly. So anyway, so my trivia question, it's not a multiple choice, but who was the first major leaguer to throw over 100 miles per hour? And the four choices are J.R. Richard, Dwight Gooden, Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver.
Well, Tom Seaver never threw 100.
Yeah, Gooden didn't get there neither.
The Gooden didn't get there either. He had that
I think
fastball, but he had that devastating
yeah.
curveball.
He was 98, 90. He was 97, 98 Gooden. So who is JR?
I faced JR when he was throwing 100.
Oh, he threw 100. He threw 100. And
Nolan Ryan got to 100 too.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna say, who are you gonna say, Leon? I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna say it first, Ricky. I'm gonna say Nolan Ryan.
And
I'll
I'll
say
say
the first one to get.
I'll say JR then.
Well, I think Leon wins this one. It was 1974, and he got clocked in at 100 miles an hour, 0.8.
Yeah, and I think
White
JR
Sox.
hit it in
JR hit it after it, yeah.
75 or 6.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I saw that the other day, and I thought that was a pretty little fun fact. So,
Yeah, that was. I'd say Nolan because he was just a little before. He was old. He was a big old strong cowboy, and he kept getting stronger and stronger.
Yep, and throwing it. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan thought that'd be a good question for you guys since you guys faced some of those guys and were played in that era. So that would be an interesting question for you guys.
Were they a little ahead of you, Ricky, or they were during that time?
Well, Nolan, they were all ahead of me, but Nolan was there my first year up. He actually threw.
Okay.
I played in the big leagues, and they didn't let me start that game.
Oh, yeah, I faced him in spring training, and then I faced JR one time before he went up in AAA. I was in AAA. We were in Oklahoma City, and he threw a ball, and I kind of leaned in on him, and you know how tall JR and he got the baseball kind of disappears in his hand, and he threw a ball up and in that I never saw. And I didn't hear it have an ear flap on. And I heard the catcher yell, but I just froze. I just did like this, and the ball went right. I heard it, but I never saw it.
Wow.
And so the umpire yelled out, and the ball ended up going back to the screen. And remember Hal Lanier?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, he was.
Hal Lanier, the old Giants shortstop and stuff. He was sort of like a player coach with us, and him and Ken Boyer were real good friends. And Hal was on deck after me. And he said, man, it looked like that ball went right through your head. I said, I never saw it. And JR was like, what are you doing? I'm like this. I never saw it. You know, the lights weren't real good in Oklahoma City in them days, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, that gave me an idea of how fast that ball was going. And that ball would have hit me. It would have been the end of days for me.
Yeah,
he was scary because he was so big, and he come off the mound real violent, and he had that big long step, and he was right on top of you.
Yeah, I remember Smith and them talking about him in the Astrodome coming off that big old mound, coming
off that high mound, and it was intimidating. But see, after that, he was a little gun shy about hitting people. That's what kind of hurt him a little bit because he was afraid to hit people.
Right.
You know, he was a little different than Nolan. Nolan had great control. JR didn't have great control. You know, Nolan can come up and in on you, just scare you to death, and then drop that curveball on you.
Yeah, I've seen it.
He'd literally have you fall on the ground on a curveball that was a strike in the strike zone. Because you weren't hanging around there long. Wow. And see, now you don't have to worry about it too much because the pitchers intentionally throw at you, they get kicked out of the game. In those days, you lean in a little bit on them, they go, we're going to knock that shoulder back off that plate a little bit.
Yeah. Back them days with Ryan, all of you came up there with all that gear on them, elbows and knee, all
Oh,
them got on 900 pounds, they would have hit you anyway. Because you
anyway,
got that
just
other-
don't. There's that one that will end up on this one. Ron Hunt. Remember Ron Hunt?
Oh yeah.
Ron Hunt used to get hit on purpose, but he wore this little pad. He had this little pad, a little rib pad he wore under his uniform. So Bob Gibson's pitching, and he comes in hard on Ron Hunt. And Hunt kind of ducked in there on a little bit, trying to get nicked. You know, he kind of leaned his body and trying to let the ball nick him. He didn't want to get drilled. He just wanted to get nicked. So Gibby looked at him. He goes, "Oh, you want to get hit?" And he reared back and he buried that thing right in his rib cage. I mean, little pad and all. And Ron Hunt started running the first. He got about halfway to first base and passed out. That ball went right through that little pad. It'd say, "You want to get hit? I'll oblige you."
Yeah.
Well, guys.
All right, that was good. Ricky, it's just such a pleasure having you on today and covering some of that. We'll come up with another subject with you and Rhino. Rhino's always a pleasure, and Steve. So I'm gonna let Steve close it out. But great show.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, Ryan, Steve, Leon. Appreciate it. Good talk.
All right.
Pleasure, guys.
All right. Well, thanks again, Ryan and Leon and Ricky. And just to end it out here on a couple players that we did talk about, Tommy Davis. It was 1962. He had 153 RBIs,
Yep,
only
Yeah.
27 home runs, and only 65 strikeouts.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking
There you
about.
go,
Yeah.
right there.
And
That's
actually,
baseball.
Actually, the most strikeouts that Joe Ducky Medwick had was in 1934. He actually had 83 strikeouts that year, but that was the most he'd ever had.
He did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah. You see a lot of those guys that just did. Tony Gwynn. What was Tony? Wow.
Yeah. Tony was
He
less
could
than
have
that.
struck out more than 30 times a year.
Yeah. He always put it in play.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we're going to get back to that. We're going to recreate bring our old game back.
Let me just remind everybody that the podcast website is talkingbaseballwithleonlee.podbean.com. And you could also find us on Spotify and Google Podcasts. And we'll talk to you all again soon.